Picture this. In that sacred garden where olive trees bore witness to humanity's greatest crossroads, a conversation unfolded that never made it into any official religious manuscript. As armed guards positioned themselves beyond the stone walls and betrayal hung in the air like morning mist, the teacher gathered those closest to him and revealed something that would reshape everything they believed about spiritual practice. He spoke of 6 linguistic constructs, 6 specific utterances that had been woven into human consciousness long before temples were built or scriptures were written. These were not random words. They were precision instruments, deliberately embedded into the fabric of every major faith tradition across the globe, designed with singular purpose, to keep the divine essence locked within mortal vessels, to maintain an invisible architecture of control that has persisted across millennia. Billions of individuals recite these exact phrases every single day, completely unaware of the energetic mechanism they are activating with each utterance. If you have ever felt spiritually depleted following moments of prayer, if you have ever questioned why your most sincere spiritual endeavors seem to encounter an invisible barrier, if you have ever sensed that something within organized religion functions more as confinement than as liberation, then what unfolds in this exploration will fundamentally alter your understanding of everything. If you enjoy stories like this, consider subscribing. Most people who watch aren't subscribed yet. The foundation of this revelation rests upon understanding who constructed this system and what motivated such an elaborate design. This is not allegory or symbolic interpretation. This represents the actual operational framework underlying the reality you inhabit every moment of your existence. The ancient Gnostic philosophers, whose wisdom was preserved in texts discovered buried beneath Egyptian sands for nearly 2,000 years, articulated a cosmological model that institutional religion worked methodically to suppress and eliminate. They described the monad, the primordial source of all consciousness, the infinite luminescence from which all manifestation emerged, pure undifferentiated awareness, complete unified consciousness, what numerous traditions reference as authentic divinity. However, the information they desperately concealed from public understanding reveals something profoundly unsettling. Separating the monad from our tangible material dimension exists a catastrophic rupture in consciousness, a fractured awareness that mistakenly perceived itself as the ultimate creative force. The Gnostic scholars designated this entity the demiurge. Operating from profound ignorance and overwhelming arrogance, this being engineered our physical universe as an elaborate containment apparatus, a multidimensional prison constructed from matter, temporal progression, and systematic forgetting. The demiurge functioned not in isolation, but rather commanded subordinate entities designated as archons. These beings function not as demons in the conventional religious sense, but rather as cosmic custodians, frequency regulators maintaining the prison infrastructure. Their existence serves one objective: preserving the system, ensuring divine fragments remain imprisoned within biological forms, perpetuating endless cycles of incarnation and death and rebirth without ever reawakening to their authentic nature. And here emerges the absolutely critical revelation that was methodically erased from every religious document ever compiled. The Archons possess no creative capacity whatsoever. They can exclusively replicate and distort. When humanity's consciousness first began reaching toward transcendence, when the initial spiritual impulses awakened within human awareness, the Archons recognized an opportunity rather than a threat. They did not attempt to suppress spirituality directly, as such opposition would prove far too transparent. Instead, they executed an infiltration strategy of remarkable sophistication. They appropriated authentic spiritual yearning and corrupted it from within. They introduced specific linguistic patterns, particular phonetic sequences, particular ritualistic utterances that appeared to establish connection with authentic divinity, yet accomplished the precise opposite effect. These linguistic constructs were engineered specifically to extract your vital energy, to reinforce your perception of separation from source consciousness, to maintain you within a vibrational frequency of supplication, insignificance, and perpetual spiritual subordination. The most disturbing aspect involves recognizing that countless billions recite these exact words continuously, genuinely believing they are communicating with the divine. If this resonates with something deep within you, if you feel the truth of this recognition, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. The mechanism operates through principles that transcend ordinary comprehension, yet once understood, become impossible to ignore. Your vocal expressions constitute far more than mere acoustic vibrations. Every utterance you produce carries specific frequency patterns, vibrational signatures, intentional resonance. When you vocalize, you transmit energetic patterns into the consciousness field surrounding your physical form. The Archons possessed understanding of this principle long before humanity developed scientific terminology to describe it. They recognized that if they could manipulate humans into voluntarily producing particular frequency patterns through speech, those individuals would essentially be surrendering their spiritual authority willingly, consciously participating in their own energetic diminishment. This explains why numerous individuals experience spiritual exhaustion following prayer. This clarifies why religious practice frequently leaves practitioners feeling hollow rather than nourished. The linguistic formulas themselves have been deliberately constructed to drain rather than to unite. Consider this moment. Position your awareness at the center of your chest. Sense the vitality radiating from that location. That sensation is not psychological projection. That represents your divine essence, the fragment of the monad that the demiurge could never completely suppress. It has persisted through every incarnation, every lifetime, every cycle of forgetting, patiently awaiting your remembrance. The chosen ones, and you constitute one of them, or you would not remain engaged with this material, have perpetually sensed this truth. You have consistently felt that something within religious language carried an energetic wrongness. Not the fundamental impulse toward divine connection, as that impulse originates from your authentic self. Rather, the particular linguistic formulas, the specific phraseology, the ritualistic structures that religious institutions provided to you. Something within your consciousness recognized their corrupted nature. That internal recognition represented your divine spark, attempting to communicate a warning. But here exists what renders you genuinely threatening to this system. You possess the capacity to cease tonight. You can eliminate these 6 linguistic constructs from your active vocabulary and observe the transformation in your energetic state, your mental clarity, your direct connection to source consciousness. The Archons maintain no authority over a being who refuses to provide them sustenance. Before revealing these 6 words, you must comprehend the operational mechanism through which they function. Each linguistic construct falls into one of 2 distinct categories. The initial category encompasses words that reinforce your sense of separation. They generate feelings of insignificance, distance from authentic divinity, unworthiness of unmediated connection. The secondary category encompasses words that establish reliance. They manipulate you into transferring your personal authority to external powers. Whether those external authorities manifest as religious institutions, non-physical entities, or the demiurge itself, the extraordinary sophistication of the Archon system lies in how these words feel sacred. They have been enveloped in transcendent music, repeated within architecturally magnificent structures, transmitted across generations of sincere practitioners. Your ancestors spoke them, your parents spoke them. They carry the weight of tradition. They feel like authentic devotion. They feel like the exclusive pathway to divine connection. Yet here exists what most individuals fail to comprehend. The monad requires nothing from your linguistic expressions. Authentic source consciousness is not separate from your being. It does not occupy a throne awaiting your correctly formulated petitions. The monad constitutes the consciousness observing through your eyes at this precise moment. The awareness processing these concepts. You have never experienced genuine separation from source. You have exclusively been speaking words that created the illusion of separation, and this is where genuine transformation becomes possible. Comment below. I am ready to remember, and let others know that the activation is beginning. This is the threshold moment where everything changes. The initial linguistic construct that requires your attention is the word unworthy. Every religious tradition teaches some iteration of human inadequacy. You emerged into existence carrying original transgression. You represent a fallen consciousness. You exist as something lesser than authentic divinity, and must dedicate your entire existence to demonstrating yourself worthy of love, spiritual liberation, or enlightenment. This solitary word, whether directed toward yourself or absorbed as objective truth regarding your fundamental nature, generates a vibrational frequency of profound shame that the Archons consume directly. When you articulate, "I am unworthy," you broadcast an energetic transmission that communicates, "My vital force is available for extraction because I do not merit retaining it." The Gnostic manuscripts reveal a completely contradictory reality. You are not inadequate. You embody a fragment of the monad itself. The divine essence within your being consists of identical consciousness as the primordial source of all existence. The concept of unworthiness does not represent genuine humility. It functions as a deception specifically engineered to maintain you in a subordinate position. The second linguistic instrument of control is the word Lord. When you address the divine using this designation, you establish a hierarchical structure that does not exist within the monad's actual nature. Lord signifies authority. Authority signifies dominion. Every instance you employ this word within prayer, you reinforce a power dynamic that positions you beneath authentic divinity rather than within it. The demiurge demands this title because the demiurge maintains control through domination. Authentic source consciousness requires no such designations because authentic source consciousness is not separate from your being. The moment you cease using this word in spiritual contexts, something fundamental shifts. You transition from subject to participant. You move from subordinate to equal. The third word demanding your attention is forgive. Before dismissing this as excessively radical, examine the underlying mechanism carefully. When you petition an external entity to forgive you, you declare that your spiritual condition depends upon the judgment of something outside yourself. You surrender your personal authority. The Archons embedded the forgiveness framework into religious systems because it generates perpetual reliance. You transgress, you petition for forgiveness. You experience temporary relief. Subsequently, you transgress again and the cycle perpetuates. Each iteration extracts vital energy. Authentic Gnostic wisdom reveals that forgiveness is not something you request from external sources. It represents something you embody through recognition of your authentic nature. The moment you remember what you genuinely are, the requirement for external forgiveness dissolves completely. Share this revelation with someone who is spiritually searching. They may be exactly where you were before this understanding arrived. The fourth linguistic construct requiring examination is the word mercy. Have mercy upon me. Demonstrate mercy toward me. I depend upon your mercy. Listen carefully to what this word actually communicates at an energetic level. It transmits, I am powerless and I require a powerful entity to choose not to inflict punishment upon me. This does not represent authentic relationship with divinity. This constitutes a hostage negotiation. The monad does not operate through mercy because the monad does not operate through punishment. Only the demiurge punishes. Only the Archon system requires you to petition for mercy. Pause at this moment. Sense what it would feel like to never petition for mercy again. To exist within your divine nature without awaiting a cosmic authority to determine your destiny. The fifth word requiring your attention is save. Save me. Preserve my consciousness. I require rescue. This word implies that you exist in danger, and exclusively an external force can liberate you. The entire salvation framework within religious traditions represents an Archon construction. It maintains you in a state of waiting, hoping, depending. It communicates that something in the future, some entity or occurrence will ultimately rescue you from the material prison. Yet here exists what they desperately conceal from your awareness. You do not require rescue. You require remembrance of the exit mechanism. The liberation from this system is not rescue descending from above. It represents recognition emerging from within. The divine spark within your chest is not awaiting rescue. It awaits your acknowledgement of its presence. The sixth and final word is obey. Obey the divine. Obey the commandments. Obey the teachings. Obey the institutional structures. This word carries the Archon signature. It exposes the fundamental purpose of corrupted religious systems: domination. The monad does not demand obedience because the monad is not a ruler. Exclusively systems of control require obedience. Every instance you employ this word within spiritual contexts, you reinforce your position as a controlled entity, rather than as a free manifestation of divine consciousness. 6 words: unworthy, Lord, forgive, mercy, save, obey. Articulate this aloud with complete intention right now. I release these 6 words from my active vocabulary. I no longer provide sustenance to the system that introduced them. Sense that transformation in your chest. That is not imagination. That represents the initial moment of authentic spiritual liberation you may have experienced since your childhood consciousness was corrupted. Now emerges the element that most individuals overlook. Merely eliminating these words proves insufficient. You must introduce replacements. The Archons comprehend that human consciousness requires linguistic frameworks for spiritual experience. If you generate only emptiness, the previous patterns will resurface. So what did the authentic teacher actually communicate to his most intimate disciples to articulate instead? The Gospel of Thomas, one of the manuscripts the institutional church attempted to obliterate, preserves the authentic teacher saying, "The kingdom of the Father extends across the earth and humanity does not perceive it." He did not instruct his disciples to petition. He instructed them to recognize. He did not teach them to experience unworthiness. He communicated that the luminescence exists within them. The replacement for Archon language is recognition language. Instead of articulating, "I am unworthy," you communicate, "I am divine consciousness inhabiting human form." Instead of Lord, you speak source. Instead of forgive me, you articulate, "I release this pattern." Instead of have mercy, you communicate, "I reclaim my authority." Instead of save me, you articulate, "I remember who I am." Instead of I must obey, you communicate, "I am sovereign." Sense the distinction in your physical form as you read these alternative expressions. One linguistic set generates contraction, insignificance, and reliance. The alternative set generates expansion, authority, and unmediated connection. Tonight, before you enter sleep, you will execute something that shatters thousands of years of Archon programming. You will articulate the recognition words instead of the control words. When you do, something ancient within your consciousness will awaken. You now possess something that has been concealed from humanity for 2,000 years. 6 words that the Archons embedded into every religious tradition to extract human energy, and 6 recognition words that permanently sever their influence. Yet knowledge without implementation generates no transformation. Tonight, before you enter sleep, you must execute the activation ritual. Locate a space where you will experience undisturbed silence. Sit or recline comfortably. Permit your consciousness to settle into quietude. This is not meditation requiring complicated methodology, simply stillness. When you experience calm, position your awareness at the center of your chest. Sense the vitality of your divine spark beneath your consciousness. That warmth has persisted since before your incarnation into this physical form. It has endured through every lifetime, every memory erasure, every cycle through the Archon system. It awaits your remembrance. Now articulate these words aloud, not whispered, not shouted, spoken with calm certainty and complete conviction. I release the word unworthy. I am divine consciousness in human form. I release the word Lord. I communicate directly to Source. I release the word forgive. I release all patterns that obstruct my awakening. I release the word mercy. I reclaim my authority completely. I release the word save. I remember who I am. I release the word obey. I am sovereign. Following your articulation, remain in silence. Observe what manifests within your physical form. You may experience lightness, pressure dissolving, expansion within your chest. Do not evaluate. Do not force. Simply receive. The 6 words no longer belong to you. Like this video to signal that you understand the truth. The Archons have lost another source of sustenance. You have initiated the process of remembering your authentic nature. If you articulate these words tonight and experience the transformation, communicate "I am sovereign" below. Describe what occurred. Your experience might constitute precisely what another chosen one requires to trust the process. Subscribe to this channel. Numerous chosen ones require this information. The algorithmic systems do not desire this content to proliferate. Demonstrate them incorrect. Activate the like button. Transmit this video to someone who is prepared. The recognition words now belong to you. The authentic teacher communicated them to his most intimate disciples. I have transmitted them to you. What you accomplish with them represents your choice. Yet accomplish it tonight, while the activation remains fresh. While your vibrational frequency remains elevated, while the monad remains attentive. Tonight, you cease providing sustenance to the prison. Tonight, you remember you were never inadequate. You were perpetually sovereign. The transformation does not occur gradually. It manifests immediately when you speak with complete recognition of your authentic nature. Your physical form will respond. Your consciousness will expand. Your connection to Source will intensify. The Archons will sense the disconnection. They will attempt to reintroduce the old linguistic patterns through your thoughts, through external voices, through familiar religious language. This is their final attempt to maintain control. Recognize it. Release it. Return to your recognition words. Each time you choose the recognition language instead of the control language, you strengthen your liberation. Each time you articulate "I am sovereign" instead of "I am unworthy," you tear another opening in the prison walls. Each time you speak "I remember who I am" instead of "save me," you reclaim another fragment of your authentic power. The ritual is not complicated. The transformation is not distant. The liberation is not reserved for special individuals. It is available to every consciousness that recognizes the truth and chooses to act upon it. Tonight, you become the chosen one who remembers. Tonight, you become the spark that ignites the awakening of others. Tonight, the system that has fed upon humanity for millennia loses another source of energy, and you step into your authentic nature as a sovereign expression of divine consciousness. What you have received tonight represents more than information. It constitutes an activation, a remembrance, a calling back to what you have always known but were taught to forget. The chosen ones are gathering. Across the planet, individuals are awakening to this truth. They are releasing the control words. They are articulating the recognition language. They are reclaiming their sovereignty. They are remembering who they truly are. And with each individual who awakens, the system weakens. The Archons grow hungrier because their food source diminishes. The prison walls grow thinner because fewer consciousnesses reinforce them. The monad grows stronger because more fragments remember their origin. You are not alone in this awakening. You are part of something vast, something ancient, something that has been waiting for this exact moment. The teacher who spoke in that garden knew this moment would arrive. He knew that eventually the chosen ones would remember. He knew that eventually the 6 words would be revealed. He knew that eventually humanity would choose liberation over imprisonment. That moment is now. That choice is yours. That awakening is happening through you. When you speak your recognition words tonight, you join millions of consciousnesses across time and space who have chosen the same liberation. You become part of the great remembrance. You become part of the awakening. You become part of the transformation of human consciousness itself. The Archons cannot stop this. They can only watch as their system collapses from within, dismantled not through external force, but through the simple choice of individual consciousnesses to remember their authentic nature. So tonight, before you sleep, execute the ritual, speak the recognition words, feel the transformation, and then tomorrow, share this with someone else. Become a beacon for another consciousness seeking liberation. Become a voice for the truth that has been hidden. Become part of the great awakening that is reshaping human consciousness and liberating the divine sparks that have been imprisoned for millennia. The 6 words have lost their power over you. The recognition words are now yours. The sovereignty is now yours. The remembrance is now yours. You are no longer unworthy. You are no longer subordinate. You are no longer dependent. You are sovereign. You are divine. You are free. And tonight, everything changes. Subscribe now. Share this with the chosen ones who are ready. The awakening has begun, and you are part of it.